Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Navigating Now, episode 247, where we're going to be talking about building human-centered enterprises with our guest today, who I will introduce here in just a second. But just as a reminder for our community, this is a platform that we go live on every week, every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. And one of the things that I've loved about this platform over the life and the history of it is just the pure, raw, unedited, authentic nature that the conversations that make their way to Navigating Now have. And really excited for this episode of 247 to be another notch on that belt. And as I said, we're focusing in on building human-centered enterprises today. Our guest is a man named Abbas Mohaddes, who has quite the experience, and we're going to unpack all of that. But Abbas, before we go into like your business background, which is very amazing and impressive, and the story that's behind it is so interesting, we probably need to do a little bit of let's call out the connecting dots here. So Abbas, how were you brought to this table? What's the connection to you and Thadium?
Griff, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And my daughter Layla works at your firm, and she started sending me some of the newsletters and telling me about the organization, how it is formed, and it was exciting to hear just the journey that you all have gone through. And she asked me about a couple of months ago, hey, would you be interested in having a podcast or a talk like this? And I was delighted. So I'm honored to join you.
That's awesome. And Layla is not just a part of the Thadium team. She's a really big part and has been such an awesome addition over the last couple of years. And not only are we fortunate to have her, but we're fortunate to have her bring you to us for this conversation, which I'm really particularly interested in. Just from some of the discussions you and I have, I think there's a lot to be shared, and a lot of energy that you bring to any conversation, which I know folks will feel. Related to your daughter, though, there's a lot of good stuff we're going to talk about in terms of building the world of business, but maybe a bigger milestone just happened. Layla's wedding. So we got to unpack that a little bit. Like, walk us through, maybe give us the high level of how the weekend went. What were the highlights and what were the big takeaways?
Well, it was wonderful. Layla is the older daughter that I have, and she has a younger sister, Abby. And so it was the first wedding, and I was just on cloud nine for the days, leading to it. And we started having events on Thursday night and Friday, and then Saturday. And we celebrated here in Newport Beach, 125 guests or so. And it was just wonderful. And Layla, being who she is, although we had a coordinator, but she had probably dozens of spreadsheets and planned everything. Everything went so well, unbelievable. And the guests really enjoyed it. And we didn't have much assignments at all. She only asked me, hey, just do the adult beverages. And so that was my only assignment.
Yeah.
So
an important assignment, though. That is an important assignment.
Is. I take it very seriously.
Yes, good. That's good to hear. Yeah. And
within the events, there's 6-7 events that requires different types of beverages.
Absolutely.
So it worked out.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Abbas, for those of us who are also fathers of daughters, I have a 2-year-old daughter. I've probably a long time before something like that. But what advice do you have for us in the speech at the wedding? What should we be focused on?
I highlighted several things, but one thing that I could share with you is Layla's passion for music. As you may know, she is a pianist, and she actually performed a song, which was wonderful. And her kindness and attention to details, and all of those that I feel it's a great attribute to to a good consultant, you know. So it was very good. But I could tell you, at one point I had a 2-year-old daughter called Layla, and the time goes very fast. You know, Griff, just enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah.
It'll come faster than you ever think.
Yeah, really, really good advice. And I'm sure Layla's listening in, slightly blushing from all of the accolades that you're passing on, but also probably really fond of the memories you all have created over the course of her life. And maybe that is a good segue for us to talk a little bit about your journey, because I have to say, when you and I first connected and you shared the full life story that you have to this point, it's a pretty cool one, full of interesting challenges and bounce back moments and moments of revelation. And I think we probably could just let you talk for the next 45 minutes, and that would probably be more interesting than me peppering you with questions. But maybe we just start there. I'd love to let you share a little bit of the story, the journey you've been on, and maybe some of the big moments along the way that have brought you to where you are today.
Sure. So I'll give you Reader's Digest version. But it is ironic, Griff, that this very week is a milestone for me, because 50 years ago this week I came to US.
Wow.
And I came in as a 17-year-old to come in here to go to school and get an education and go back to Iran, country I was born at. And after a few years, there was a revolution there. And in 1979, when I was basically at fourth year, I decided to stay. And it has been just an amazing journey along the way. After I finished school, my first job was working in city of Dallas as a traffic engineer. My education was traffic and transportation engineering. And along the way on this journey, I have been very fortunate and privileged to have had several mentors that really guided me in so many different ways. And after a few years at the city of Dallas, I joined a consulting firm in the same space. And in '86, I was recruited to come to Los Angeles to help plan and design and implement the very first light rail transit that was being constructed in LA. And that was a wonderful experience. So I did that for 5 years, among other activities in that consulting firm. And then one of the senior executives at that firm and I joined together and established our own firm, Mohaddes Associates, in 1991. And it was wonderful. The one takeaway I would share with you is the importance of partnership, whether it is life or business in this case. That I had the benefit of working with him for 5 years, and so it was a wonderful complementary skills that he brought to the table. And our firm actually grew quite fast. Within 7 years, we had multiple offices, 45, 50 employees. And then we ended up merging with another organization and added a couple of firms along the way. And in '05, we took the company public. And I was quite fortunate to be in New York and ringing the bell. And, you feel in every morsel of your body the American capitalism, when you are getting to walk upstairs, the traders are just chanting, and it's an amazing experience. And so I ran that company for about 9 years, and then in 2015, you could call it retired. And for about a year and a half, I was telling people I promoted myself to a one-man shop, and it really felt that way. So, I was on a few boards, and I was doing strategic planning and coaching organizations and executives, and it was fantastic, and sharing my journey up to that point. And then one of the organizations that I was doing a strategic planning for, they said, "Hey, how would you like to come in and implement this?" Our president is retiring, and so I did that. And 3 years ago, we grew that firm significantly, by the way, and I would say transform it in a big way. And then a similar firm in Europe and ourselves joined forces together with the help of a private equity firm and the car company Porsche. The three of us got together and established a company, what we call Umovity now, which is a global traffic and transportation software hardware company. And then we added a few other firms and have done some things since then. So now my focus is primarily on M&A activities, on executive coaching, basically helping the company to grow. So that has been my journey. I always felt that it is important to build genuine team members that are not only necessarily aligned with your mission and goals and objectives, but make sure that they are culture add, if you will, and they're the ones that are enhancing and expanding the perspective of the team and the organization. So. And I'll share one more thing, and I stop. One great mentor told me along the way that hey, if you truly want to grow an organization, try to hire more experienced and smarter people than yourself, and you'll be okay. And that happened to be a very easy task for me.
Well, and Abbas, I appreciate you sharing that and all of the elements of your journey. I mean, it's so cool to hear the two themes that really stick out to me and how you've lived your life personally and professionally, opportunistic and growth oriented. And I think that last one you mentioned is kind of a nice weaving of both of them, which is, can you put your ego aside as someone who's trying to do big things and find people who, could be even better than you at the thing you're trying to do? I mean, there is a lot of ego wrapped up in trying to build a company, grow to new heights. And maybe a follow-up question for you on all that, Abbas, is around how you've been able to take, a few different organizations and really put them into hyper-growth mode and really see the scale happen. I mean, that's not something that a lot of people have done, let alone once, and you've done it a few times. What are some of the secret sauce elements for you in making that happen?
Well, you said the key phrase, you park your ego at the door to begin with as an executive and really be genuine and transparent. And I think what helped me also, Drift, is to understand that it is okay as a business leader to expose your vulnerabilities. We are all very vulnerable. It is okay to admit that you made a mistake, and I made quite a bit of those. And sometimes really in hiring, my batting average on a lot of other things might have been pretty fair, but when it comes to hiring, you have very little exposure. Yes, you have a resume, you get the recommendations by others, but until you work with that individual, your team works with that individual, you really are not sure. I've had many great situations, but I share one that is on my mind. Maybe this was about 13, 14 years ago, that a phenomenal resume came to my desk. Someone that had the tremendous educational background and actually referred by some. And I was excited. I brought the individual to the team. And after 2-3 weeks, various executives came to me, and and my door was always open. You could talk to me about such things. And they came in and said that, this is not really working very well. And I had to, after just 4 weeks of employment, to sit down with this individual and to help him in this case to find another opportunity elsewhere. It just was not a good fit. So I admitted I made a mistake, and you just have to admit those, and then you move on. So it is okay to make mistakes. In fact, at one point I was telling a staff, and the jaw would drop, and I would say, key to success is making a lot of mistakes. And to a great degree, I really believed in it, and I do now. We learn. Not everything is properly coached. Not everything is properly learned. Some things you have to just give it a try. And if you make a mistake and you fall, you get up and move on. And that has been my theory, and it has worked out very well. The people that are hired, I think overall, they are the ones that get the credit, and they are the ones that built the team, grew the team. And not only they were dedicated how to grow the company, but understanding that the company is sensitive how to help them grow their objectives and goals, not as it relates always to the company, but to their personal life and activities. If you really help them and listen to them and understood them genuinely, I think you have that secret sauce that you were referring to.
Yeah, I love that. One of the phrases that, and I might be butchering the way it was first introduced, but it's sort of the evolution of the work-life balance to work-life blend. But the one that I've heard recently that's really stuck with me most is work-life harmony. And what I just really like about that, if used in the right way, is the idea of finding ways to ensure that the work your people are doing, the purpose they feel behind it, is augmenting their life, not just something where you're creating like a disconnect between the two, or even you're trying to find a balance or blend. It's like, how do we help people do so much of the work they love to do that when they go home, they're energized, not exhausted? And I think that's obviously a hard thing to do. It's easier to say, but I think that should be the goal of any business leader, is to help their people find work-life harmony.
I couldn't agree more. And you're addressing such an important topic as it relates to today's environment, actually. I'm old school. When I started working, to be honest with you, I was actually pretty shy to even go and ask for, let's say, a raise. I've never done that, to be honest with you. It just, with the culture and with the way that I grew up, and from business standpoint, it was all in this environment. The definition of loyalty to a firm or what you do, to me, it was work, and then it was work, and then of course it was family too. And I know Lele is listening to this, but I gotta tell you this. I managed somewhere in my mid-career to wake up and understand that the life-work harmony that you're addressing. And the last 20 years, I would say, and I actually have gone to some training on this, the goals and objectives of today's generation of workforce is very different than what it was years ago, and it has evolved, and in my mind, by far for much better. And it is important to achieve and arrive at that harmony. If you could achieve a nice harmony, you could do them both much better. And I truly believe that those executives that understand that and use that to their advantage and to their colleagues' advantage are the ones that do very well.
Yeah.
It's very, very important because I remember Layla told me a few years ago that work is not all my life. I have this other part that I need to balance it, and it is extremely important. So when now we recruit, it is a different conversation that I had, let's say, 25 years ago. And a lot of it is that, in a way, how can I achieve and help you to do what you do on your life side that in turn could be then beneficial to us.
Yeah. I think, Abbas, that's a nice maybe segue into calling into conversation the title of this episode, which is Building Human-Centered Enterprises. Some of the things you've mentioned, I think, are big ways in which organizations can do that. But we talk at Thaudium, we love this phrase of human centricity. We bring it forward in a lot of things, the ways we talk about the work we do, the ways we talk about not just the experiences we build for leaders, participants, et cetera, but the way we work with our customers, the way we work with our clients. We want them to know that we're always putting human beings at the center of every problem we're trying to solve. I wanted just to maybe ask you for your definition. Like, when you think of human-centered enterprise, like, what comes to mind? What are the big criteria that have to be met to make an organization human-centered?
Well, my initial reaction, Grift, is that as a person that was a consultant for a long time before being a business manager, I always felt that working with clients is an immersive experience. And one has to subscribe to the art of listening, which is extremely important. Understanding the issues and perspectives and view of a prospective or a client. To really genuinely establish a long-lasting relationship. It is not just one task assignment. You can't go into a relationship with that level of thinking. You want to go in and, as we said earlier in our conversation, park your ego at the door and really move in with the genuine intent of understanding. And that, to me, is how I relate to that, the human-centric relationship. And that is not only with clients and customers, but internally. And what I see, what Layla tells me, that you all got together and did this team building, and it is just music to my ears. You're transparent and working with your team, and therefore collectively you get into this immersive experience of helping your clients.
Yeah. It's funny, Alice, you bring that up. A number of years ago, I worked with a large technology company, and at the time they were going through a massive transformation into more of a dedicated service model, like going into the as a service model, and the way that they needed to think more about a customer relationship versus just a transactional nature of their business. And one of the theories that they brought forward, I had never heard about at this point, but it was from some New Zealand professor named Conway, and it was the concept of Conway's law. And it's a really simple one, but basically the concept was an organization is experienced externally the way it communicates internally. And it seems so fundamental and so easy to understand. And yet you think about all the things organizations do where there creates a mismatch between the intention with which they want to create their customer voice and how they actually interact internally, whether it's creating silos and lack of understanding or competing initiatives or incentives. And you realize like it's not surprising that your customer or your client experienced you as a bit disjointed, because that's how you communicate internally. And I've tried to use that a bit as maybe my walking mantra, which is always to say, like, if we want to be felt this way by our clients, we better dang well do it internally. Otherwise, eventually the cracks will show. I don't know if that resonates with you, but that's just been a fundamental principle that which I've tried to build Thaudium upon.
100%. I mean, you are so right on the mark on this. You know, for one thing, not just the clients, our own colleagues and employees are extremely smart. We have to make that assumption, and it, in my view, it is always true. They see it through. You know, you can't really be disingenuous with your own team, because if you did, then that would definitely show externally. That level of transparency and care absolutely resonates, and it shows internally, externally. Yes, there are some things that, you don't want to, just show your dirty laundry to, I guess that comes to your house, right? But this whole honesty and transparency and the way you communicate internally and externally, it just reduces the stress so much. If it was one common journey, you have a journey internally. What you're trying to do is tell some of the prospective clients that, hey, let's join us on this journey. We have some thoughts to share with you. We're going to learn from you, but we also have some things to share with you. That is the arrangement that we would all grow. I've learned so much, honestly, from clients, just listening to them, not just talking about business, but also their view and perspective on other things, if they volunteer to share with you. And if you're genuine, they do. It is good to go for a walk together. It is good to go outside and have a cup of coffee and whatnot. It turns out that a large number of my clients that I had for a long, long time, they really became good friends.
Yeah. That's really resonating with me. I think is one of the biggest mistakes, or let's call it lesson learned, because there's no true mistakes. There's just learnings, right? One of the things I remember early on when I joined the Thaudium team was this feeling of having to show up with all the answers and like the finished product in front of a customer or a client. I think one of the things that you're calling out for me, and it's something I've just had to learn through some scar tissue, is it's actually good to bring your clients into the journey that you're still on. Like, we all are still works in progress. Our companies are works in progress. We're building and growing and trying new things. And yet we feel this need, at least I felt this need, to show up as the perfect polished answer to their problem. And what I'm taking from what you're sharing is showing up with eagerness, curiosity, some good ideas and some good ways things have been done, but always that approach of things being a little malleable is one of the ways you build the longest and most trust-based relationships.
I couldn't agree more. And I'll just give you a thinking that I've often seen in great consultants, is that you don't always have all the answers right there. In fact, in most cases, you don't. And you would say, you know what, this is something that I need to go back and check and do some homework. And you go back and really do your research and work, and you come back with that treasure that you have done. It is so much more valuable. It's an interactive process.
Showing that response in real time to say, hey, we didn't have an answer for this, or hey, we hadn't thought about this, and because of you, because of your care for us, like, we have gone and now done something about it.
Precisely. And I'll tell you, compliment Thaudium with with that approach and looking at your website and some of the experiences and all that, it really shows that look, help us help you. That kind of an approach. That it's I'll go back to that experience that you together go through.
Yeah.
It's so important, and the fact that you bring in so many different perspectives, that maybe not all applicable, but you pick and choose and kind of go together in that journey.
Yeah, really well said. Obviously, I want to get your thoughts maybe on the evolution of your thinking, or just your thoughts related to staying in evolving as a human-centered enterprise in all of the mega converging trends that we're facing today. Obviously, generative AI is everywhere, and people are worried about their jobs. We continue to find ourselves in a fight between, do we go back into the office? Do we keep our environment hybrid? Should we go fully remote? All the potential ripple effects of any one of those decisions and it might have. And I think it's really hard to sometimes in all of these threads and trends, like find the human-centric lens. And I guess I'd be curious to get your thought amidst all of the changes and evolutions. Sure. And I know you're in a technology-based business, but how do you stay, or how do you think maybe organizations can stay human-centric and get the value from it as the world continues to unfold around us, which is basically seeing a total transformation in work as we know it?
Absolutely. And I'll just focus on the two topics that you highlighted. One, basically post-pandemic, going back to work, and then the AI. So my personal view on really communication and relationship post-pandemic is that my observation has been, for those that have known each other for a long time and have dealt with each other for a long time, for a while, basically talking through Zoom or Teams or whatever means that you have could work for you. But even then, you still have to meet each other in conferences or wherever you are. But when it comes to younger colleagues that have not had that long experience of how does it feel to be in office, that you all get together, you go to cafeteria and get a cup of coffee. For them, I strongly recommend now, when we hire, to find opportunities to interact more, to communicate more. I'm not suggesting to come back to the office every day. You really have to be sensitive. For example, for our software group, they come into the office once or twice a month. For accounting people, they are there 3 days a week. I go to work on Mondays and Wednesdays. I really like to have all executives show up on those days that I'm there. I know it is selfish, but it works. So to me, there is a difference between those that have worked together for a long time versus those that are just coming to an organization and work. We really need to accommodate face to face as much as we can. Maybe even it is not coming to work. Hey, every Thursday or Friday, we're going to get together and have lunch or go do something, a picnic, or we got to get together. We're human, and I believe that we need that. So that's my view on that. On the AI, I'm a student of learning its application in technology and really day-to-day life, and have been using it. But what we did was, a couple of months ago, we had a week-long seminar every day, experts coming in and giving us their thoughts and actually using pilot, using different tools. And I find it very useful. And the sooner that we get exposed at all levels, the sooner we would embrace it, adapt it, and understand how best to use it. Is it going to get a lot of jobs away? I don't think so. I think, if any, it will create a lot of new jobs and activities. Is it going to make our life easier? in so many different levels? Absolutely. I could tell you a code that we were developing and this is a fresh example. Last week, we had a particular optimization code that would typically take about a week or so to do. It was done in matter of hours, and it tells you how fast we could basically do a task, and basically writing APIs for the customers, for themselves to use, as opposed to run it by us and for us to run it. So it is going to evolve. It is going to be extremely beneficial, and it is up to us how we embrace it, how do we use it. Would there be some downside of this? Of course, we all get very sensitive about the cybersecurity, the security adverse impact of how it is used, and some of the things that we now see, impersonations and all of that. We could get around it, but overall, my reaction to AI is extremely positive. We actually have been at this for many, many years. It is now the generative application is coming to light, but in terms of traffic management, we have been using it for almost 20 years in some levels, but now the power of processing, the power of storage and computation, they're all lining up to help us to do it a lot faster and more effective. So that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, I hope that's not meaning you're getting faster at being able to send out tickets for speeding violations. Is that's not one of the ways, right?
I know, yeah, no.
No comment. It's okay. You don't have to comment on that.
No.
Yeah.
But to be able to truly think of you and your speed as you're approaching the intersection and to truly accommodate you, that would be how we would want to try to make it more efficient.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think just the way that you're approaching even such a large change and just the number of changes you've been throughout your career, I would maybe we could end with a little bit of words of wisdom from you. Like if you were to give people, let's say people are out there running businesses and maybe they fully are bought into the idea of a human-centered enterprise, or maybe they're teetering on the edge. If you were to make the business case, why should you make your organization more human-centric in the next 2 to 3 years? What would be the business case you would lay out for any business leaders?
Well, it's pretty simple, Griff. I think, the word human is something that has started many, many years and time ago. And it was human before there was business. And it is us human that actually through interaction, we do business. And for that very reason, I think the human-centric aspect of business is extremely important. You don't arrange human around businesses. It is the other way around. It is the human that do business with each other and make business. So it is important. I mean, you look at it with trades and the global business activities, and just bring it down to a smaller scale, that you just go to a shop and buy a cup of coffee and you want to turn that into a business. Just think of all the interactions that happen from the first second that you make an eye contact with the person that is taking your order, and for me to watch a person that make the coffee, and then you pick up your latte and drink it. That experience is not a single activity. It's a multiple activity that takes place for you to truly have a joy. It is not just the coffee, it is the experience that you go through. That is life, and that is human-centric. So
that's well said. We're very well said.
How we go through life, how we go through business, And you couldn't have picked up a better topic that I sincerely enjoy, and it is near and dear to my heart.
I love that. That such an amazing maybe convergence of a lot of the things we've talked about. You know, humans have been around before business, and we are business, right? It is human beings working with human beings to do things for other human beings that truly is the center of it. Abbas, the last thing I have for you, I know I said that was the last question, but you have added a new role to your Rolodex of experience, movie star. Movie star. So 500 years of friendship, which is the story of you and a few of your buddies over the course and decades, directed by your daughter Abby, which is pretty amazing. I know we don't need to spend so much time on this, and I'm sure you probably don't. You're a very humble man, but what was the experience like of having that whole life journey of your friendship kind of put into a film? This is more selfish to ask than it is related to human-centered enterprise.
No, actually, I'm appreciating the fact that you bring it up, Griff. So I mentioned earlier in our conversation that the revolution happened, really everything stopped, including the money flow and all of that. And we really didn't have much interaction with our family community, thousands of miles away. So it was the community of friendship, of fellow students that really helped us to navigate through this really tough times. For about a year or two, it was very difficult, and then we ended up, building on that relationship and what we went through together to then have a long-lasting friendship that it is now over 45 years with a large group of us, 20 plus, about a dozen of us that ended up moving to Southern California. We see each other almost every month. Our spouses are friends, our daughters and sons are friends, and we all grew up together and doing things. And that is the story that the Abby was putting together. And also appreciation for the community that really helped us there. And in this particular case, Lincoln, Nebraska, that they really embraced us and they helped us to get through all of this and to really transform that tough time into positive energy and bring it and keep it with us. And now, at times giving it back to that community and other communities. And that's part of the reason that I enjoy, coaching and giving back, because along the way, others really helped you, whether they were mentors or just a friend that tried to hear you out, And so it was a great opportunity. They accepted it at several festivals. It was shown in Beverly Hills Film Festival. It actually won an outstanding award in the couple of months ago in New York Film Festival. So it has been very well received, and my hope is to actually do more. I was the executive producer on that one. I love to do more documentaries and really tell stories that maybe not commercially viable, but people should hear about it and know. So thank you for bringing that
that's
up.
so cool. Well, as you know, I'm eager to get my own private screening. I've been bugging Layla on, and I know it has to officially get into the festivals, and then maybe it'll be released. But I think one of the things that you just shared that really hits home with me is we don't do anything alone, and that's true in life and it's true in business. And what a good way maybe to put a bow on our conversation around human-centered enterprise is why set your organization up any other way? Because what we're trying to do is do amazing things alongside other people that care about those things as well.
Well said. And looking at the Tatium, you often talk about collaboration and that experience. It is so true. We really do things in a team fashion, in collaborative way, and I really enjoyed this conversation, Griff. That was wonderful.
Likewise. Thanks so much for the time. Thanks for all the wisdom that you shared. Again, your story is just one that's so inspiring, and has so many amazing twists and turns, and it's brought you to such a place of being able to share back with a community like ours. But also, like I'm sure you're the kind of person that doesn't maybe take stock of just all the cool things that you've done. So let this be some unsolicited praise of just how thoughtful you are, and how thankful I am that you spent this hour with us. It's been really fun.
Well, thank you so much for having me again, and all the best to you, your family, and all your colleagues, and the wonderful work that you all do at Tatium. I really appreciate that. The world of business community truly benefits from it. Thank you.
That's so great to hear. Thanks so much for that. And I something tells me this won't be the last time we're having a conversation like this. So I look forward to the next one. Hopefully it's very near in the near term future.
Love to do it again. Thank you.
Greg. Okay. Thank you, Abbas. Thank you. And that'll do it for our episode 247, Building Human-Centered Enterprises with Abbas Mohaddes. I hope everyone took away a few things out of that conversation. I know I did. An amazing story, an amazing reminder of what a human-centric organization and a set of human-centered leaders can do for any organization. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We'll back live again next week, episode 248. Stay tuned for the focus. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We go live, raw, unedited every week with conversations just like this. So if you like this, subscribe to our channel.